Oh, all right. I'm calling this meeting to order of the Pinal County Community College District Governing Board on March 21st, 2023. Welcome all of you and welcome to our board members. Good to have you all here. So first order is if Dr. Ordiorn could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Thank you so much. Next item is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Mr. Walker, and seconded by Dr. Ordiorn. All those, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, call to the public. Zip. All right, thank you, Angela. Appreciate it. All right, the next item for action is the consideration of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So made.
Mr. Walker? I'll second. All right, Ms. Smith? All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? All right. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Great. All right, now the good stuff. First, we have report from our college president, Dr. Elliott.
Good afternoon, Governing Board President, Governing Board members, faculty, staff, guests, and our esteemed student that I'm going to highlight here in a little bit. First, a few things with the district update. Our Phi Theta Kappa chapter has earned National Reach Award recognition for excellence in membership development. And huge congratulations to Dr. Sandra Rath, PTK lead advisor, and all the advisors. They won lots of awards. I wouldn't have enough time to share all the awards, but I want to highlight that we had 2 students that have been selected as PTK Coca-Cola Scholars. And if any of you know anything about Coca-Cola Scholars, this is a big deal. The first student, Kyle Kramer, was selected as a New Century Workforce Pathway Scholar, and he will receive a $1,200 scholarship. He additionally, they noted he received the highest score in the state in the evaluation of his academic achievement, leadership, service, and other endeavors. Our other student, Savasti Sylvia, and she is here, Stan Savvy, she was selected for the 2023 Coca-Cola Academic Team Gold Scholar, and she receives $1,500 scholarship. Selection as a Coca-Cola Gold Scholar was based on scores the student earned in the All-USA Academic Team competition, for which more than 2,400 applications were received.
Wow, I applaud. Congratulations and thank you for joining us.
Super, super proud. It's very unusual to have 2 Coca-Cola Scholars at an institution, so our PTK chapter is phenomenal. And then the last thing I wanted to share is that we received notice this week that our Student Support Services TRIO program has been refunded by the Department of Education. So that's always good news. That is I'm a product of TRIO programs, so obviously I'm a little biased. So that's all I have for the district update before I move on to the legislative update. Any questions?
Yeah, any board members? Outstanding news, thank you. And I remember reading it in our local paper about our Coca-Cola Scholars, so making the news.
They'll be recognized at a national event later, or international event later this year sometime. So exciting, exciting. Now on to not as exciting stuff. The legislative update. First, I want to brief you on House Bill 2025. It is related to if a community college district exceeds its expenditure limitations, specific amounts of state aid will be withheld. It's been sent to committee. Additionally, there have been other numerous expenditure limitation bills introduced. Most all have been sent to hearing or committee. So that's kind of the trajectory on those. House Bill 2076, it requires public schools, universities, community colleges, and other state agencies in consultation with Native American tribes to display Native American tribal land acknowledgement plaque in clearly visible locations. This is it was sent to hearing. House Bill 2239 prohibits public universities and community colleges from considering a student's private scholarship in determining the student's need and financial aid award. And this has been sent to hearing, but it's not really moving forward. So that's good. That allows students to continue to stack scholarships. So that is a benefit for learners. House Bill 2265 makes supplemental appropriations from the general fund in FY 23-24 to community college districts, and it would be an amount of $536,000 to Pinal County. All the other colleges would get some funding as well. Unfortunately, this was sent to hearing, and it's not looking like it's moving forward much either. House Bill 2336, it requires public universities and community colleges to provide a tuition waiver to the child or spouse of an Arizona resident who was a veteran of the U.S. Armed Forces who suffered post-traumatic stress injury in the line of duty. This bill has actually passed the House. Senate Bill 1300 prohibits the governing board of any university, college, or community college from enacting or enforcing any policy that prohibits the possession of a concealed weapon by a person who possesses a valid concealed weapons permit. This has also been sent to a hearing committee.
Which bill was that?
Senate Bill 1300. Senate Bill 1348 requires each public and private college, university, and community college to adopt policies that define consent to sexual activity, and this has been sent to hearing as well. Senate Bill 1400 allows for non-credit workforce training to be included in community college full-time equivalent enrollment numbers, and this bill has passed the Senate, which is good news. And Senate Bill 1620 appropriates $1 million in specific amounts to each community college district to fund dual enrollment students. This bill also prohibits reducing state aid for dual enrollment students to 50%, and this has also been sent to hearing. So, any questions? All right.
All right. Thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
Okay, all right. Next on the agenda is Mr. Watka, Business Affairs Reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, governing board members, Madam President, Madam Executive Assistant, and all colleagues and guests and one student. Hello, hello. Two items on the agenda today, the budgets and the awarded bids. But before that, I'd like to introduce a new member of my team and one of my new direct reports, Mr. Ryan Buford. Please stand. He is our first risk manager / compliance officer that the college has ever had. So he started the week before spring break, so he is still relatively new. So welcome, Ryan, to the college community.
Great.
So first of all, the budget report, this is for information through January of 23 compared to January of the previous year. It shows operating fund expenditures at 49.76%, which is pretty much on line with a year ago. Just a slight decrease, actually, 0.83, less than 1% from January 22, which was at 50.59%. So no issues there as far as budget to actual going through 6 months of the fiscal year already. And the awarded bids are listed. There are 15 awarded bids or contracts for your information, and I'd be happy to answer any questions on any of the two reports.
All right, any questions for Mr. Watka? Seeing none?
Thank you.
Great, and welcome to our new risk manager. All right, next item, Dr. Gilliland, the academic project report.
Good afternoon, President Kasuga, members of the board, Dr. Elliott, Mary Lou, colleagues, students, guests. Thank you for letting me come to present about one of our academic projects. And actually, as a part of, let's see. There we go. I turned it on, yay. I got a wonderful lesson in using this little nifty thing right before we started. Before we really start, but also as a part of the team that is presenting today, though we're not going to ask her to necessarily speak because it's only her second day here at Central Arizona College, I do want to introduce a new employee in the academic area, and this is Jocelyn Nelms, who is our new Director of Nursing, and we are so pleased to have her here with us. Dr. Nelms comes to us from the University of Arizona, but she also has taught at Central Arizona College previously, so we're not entirely unfamiliar, but she's quickly, she sort of jumped into the deep end yesterday and is continuing to do that, and I think we'll be doing for a while. So today, I'm going to be talking about one of the projects that's related to our wildly important goals, our strategic plan, and I have to say that when we created the new strategic plan, Dr. Elliott sort of nudged us pretty strongly to include this project, which is to look more intentionally at 8-week scheduling, at shorter-term scheduling of courses. So today I'm going to be talking about that, and I'm going to bring some of my team members in to speak as well. And so I also want to introduce Dr. Tina Berry, who is our Academic Dean of Nursing, Allied Health, and the Skilled Trades, and Lexi Porterfield, who is our coordinator in Skilled Trades. And Lexi's also one of our adjunct professors in biology, so she wears a number of hats here at the college, as well as many of us do. So they're going to be helping me with the presentation, and I'm just going to go through the first part of it. Okay, so when we were thinking about the 8-week scheduling, or shorter-term scheduling, we realized actually from a lot of literature and even from some of our own experience that there are certain students, certain learners, and particularly adult learners, who do better in shorter-term, more condensed courses. Traditionally, universities and colleges have offered, a 16-week or 15-week semester. I'm not sure there's any really strong rationale for having it over that period of time. There is a certain amount of seat time that we want to accomplish, but of course, we've learned that we can do that in a variety of ways. And traditionally, we actually have offered shorter-term 5-week and 8-week courses, both in the summer, in that compacted time frame. And oftentimes, our learners do even better in those courses than they do during our regular school year. So that was sort of our jumping off point. And I'm going to kind of breeze through the first couple of slides because a lot of it's just sort of background. So, we know that adult learners, that oftentimes they need to balance work and family and other kinds of things. And this ability to focus intensely on 1 or 2 courses can be an advantage. And I have included a couple of data sources, but there's so many of them. But there's a couple there, and though the PowerPoint deck is not in your packet, Mary Lou can share it with you. And those are a couple of things that you can look at if you want to look further. Okay, so sort of as a starting point, we thought, what are we already doing? We knew we were doing summer courses. We knew we had an assortment of shorter-term courses, but, and I should also mention, actually, that as a part of the team, we leaned very heavily on all of our academic chairs and directors, so I have to acknowledge them as well. But we began to look at what are those areas where we offer those kinds of shorter-term courses, and were they working, and, what kinds of needs do we have in that regard? And so what we discovered is that along with the summer courses, one of the places where, and I'm going to just jump forward there, one of the places, oops, I jumped forward too fast. There we go. One of the places where we are successfully working with the 8-week courses is in our adult ed program, where actually all of the classes are in this short-term format. And they have found research over a long period of time, longitudinal research shows that the students who are in our ESL courses and our high school equivalency courses do much better in the shorter formats. So that was really a great model for us to look at, as well as our other assortment of things that we do. We found, looking at our, just kind of regular traditional gen ed courses, that we were using those 8-week courses not very strategically, well, strategically in some way, but not in a comprehensive sense. So what we were finding is that we were leaning most heavily on the second 8-week of a term of the 16-week semester, and it was, those courses were being used for students who had to drop a course and then found that they were going to be at risk of not being at full-time status or losing financial aid. By picking up a second 8-week course, they were able to maintain that status. As we began to try to flesh out and build out more first 8-week and second 8-week classes, we are still, right now, we are still finding that from an enrollment point of view, students are choosing to take the second 8-week classes when it just comes to the regular gen eds, and not so much those first 8 weeks. So right now, we only have 10 first 8-week classes in our current schedule of classes, not because we didn't try to run more of them, but because they were not chosen and they didn't fill. But we did have 56 second 8-week classes, and this is of the traditional gen eds. And most of the ones that we're finding are in communication studies, psychology, sociology. There's some others as well, but this is just general, gen ed for the associate's degree. We found that there was actually more success in running them, and this was a more intentional use, and this is the place where we've really been focusing and concentrating our efforts, and that is in stacking classes where students are moving from one level to the next. And we've actually had quite a bit of success in, for example, pairing a pre-college level course, just a slightly below college level class, with a college level class. Those students who want to move more quickly into the college level and are really very, very close to being ready for that, but felt more comfortable starting with the, that more intro level class. But by doing it in a paired 8-week format, we're finding that the students stick with us, they persist, they continue on to that next level. And that this is a really, the stacking of classes is one that really works in that short-term format. And we found that in both the English and in the math, which are the places that we spent more time looking. And so we've really sort of fleshed those out a little bit more and added more courses in those areas, and we're continuing to build those into our 8-week schedules. And then finally, we found that those programs, or those courses that are part of prerequisites for other programs, are also courses that do very well in that 8-week format, both in terms of students choosing those classes and also persisting and completing the classes. So those are all kind of key things that we're looking at in terms of metrics. So for example, a lot of our students come in wanting to go into nursing or into some of the other allied health programs, and they are able to take, for example, anatomy and physiology 1 and 2. That's our bio 201 and 202, and they can do those in 8-week formats, and they can condense the amount of time that they're spending doing prerequisites that they need for moving into some of those other programs. So those are really good models, and at this point, one of our goals is to continue to expand putting together those science offerings in the 8-week format. And we were actually headed in that direction. We ended up, we had a couple of people who left us, and we are working on replacing those positions now. But it is absolutely on our radar to continue to build out those 8-week formats. Okay, and I think at this point, I am going to turn this over to Lexi Porterfield, who's going to come in and talk about skilled trades, and then Tina's going to follow up with health careers, where we have some much more robust 8-week format. I'll leave it there if you want to use it. It's still the forward button.
Hi, everybody. Hope you can see me. Need a step stool. So I'm Lexi Porterfield, Skilled Trades Coordinator. I'm the recruiter. I help
Put the microphone closer to your mouth.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to stand over here. So I'm Lexi Porterfield, Skilled Trades Coordinator. I'm a recruiter for our division, and I also do advising. Within the skilled trades, we do use a lot of the 8-week programs. The AIT, I'm going to skip to the next one. The AIT program, Automated Industrial Technology, that is our first semester is primarily 8-week courses, and it gears up the student to complete their first certificate within that first 16 weeks. Second semester is also geared the same way. These classes are offered in the evening for those students who are working during the day. The welding, most of our welding programs, the structural welding and pipe fitting, pipe welding, are geared at the 8-week program as well. The first 8 weeks with the welding is geared towards the entry level of that the course, and then the second 8 weeks is the advanced portion of the course. Within the welding program, there's national certifications that the students are able to gain. Both of our instructors, full-time instructors, are AWS certified inspectors and educators. So that means that they can give their students actual national certificates. And once they finish that first semester, they'll have that first certificate completed. They could go into the workforce and start making pretty decent money. Typically, if at the end of both of those courses, they'll be ready to test for the AW certifications. When they pass those tests, their weld tests, they bend test, cut test, check to make sure there's no impurities or anything. When they get those, they can go into industry, and they typically will be hired on between $20 and $25 an hour. I'm very much a supporter of our students coming back, finishing that second certificate. Again, they're able to do more AWS training. So while they are learning a new welding process, they're also getting more of those AWS certificates, giving them more both time welding, because those classes, being that they're 8 weeks long, we have to have enough teacher contact hours. And the classes are a little bit longer, but they're also credit heavy. So they're getting all their credits done first 2 semesters and getting all that welding experience in the classroom with that instructor there, setting them up for success in industry. Our pipe welding program, something that we started this year because we found that pipe welding is a bit harder, and we started running 2 programs. So now we have one in the morning and we have one in the evening. So we're trying to gear it up to where that we have more that are successful to move on to the second semester to finish out those second certificates. And then with the pipe also, they can get the AWS certificates. That's going to get them paid a lot more, just exiting out with just certificates. Like I said, I'm an advocate for them coming back, finishing their associate's degree. The nice thing about these 8-week courses in those general ed classes is that they don't have to prolong their programs to 2 years. They can get them finished in sometimes a year and a half, or even a year if they take classes during the summer. Lots of opportunity. Another class that's not on here is our heavy equipment operating 100. We utilize that during the summer of 5 weeks. They're there. They get tons of seat hours, because that's what they're there for. They're there to get the seat hours, get that experience, so that when they finish that class, they know that they want to do heavy equipment. They go into the program starting that fall, and then again, they're going to get their certificate within the first semester, second certificate, second semester, and then they're on their way to having that associate's degree. That's pretty much it for the skilled trades itself, but I do have students that take some of those administrative justice classes because they are 8 weeks. They can get in there, get some of their social behavioral science requirements taken care of, and it's 8 weeks. They're getting more classes done in 1 semester, getting their through their associate's degrees faster than it would take if you would normally do 16-week courses, four classes a semester. That pushes you out a little bit longer. Thank you.
Great, Lexi, I actually have a question.
Sure.
Yes, do we have any outcomes on job placement yet?
So we are 100%, if a student wants a job, we can get them a job. All of our instructors have great ties to the industry still.
Right.
Last week, good example, Jordan Porterfield, he's one of our full-time instructors, and he's an AWS certified inspector. And every year they have meetings where they have their AWS cohorts come and meet at an industry business. And they had it last Wednesday. He told all of his students, hey, if you come, I'll give you extra credit, and you'll get your feet wet in the AWS. And at the end of that, they had information on how to become a member, and they all filled out job applications before they left. So there's lots of opportunity. Same thing with our AIT. I'd have to say 99% of our AIT students work for Lucid.
Wow.
Yeah. Abbott, we do have some students that are coming in this next semester that work for Abbott. They're wanting to get in there too. We need more instructors.
Wow, great.
Thank you for your question.
that information. Yes, because all of us want to know what
Yeah.
the outcome.
They want a job, we'll get them a job.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
Careers.
And it's a great story for Pinal County to tell the outside world of the value of Central Arizona College. So
Yes, ma'am. Thank
for
you.
that.
We appreciate that.
All right.
All right, I think that's a little too small for me. I think I'll do what Lexi did, is go this way. Okay, I'm Tina Berry. I'm the academic dean here, and hopefully will be one of several in the coming months. So, but I want to talk to you about some special programs that we have in allied health and nursing. So we have a special program, radiology. They actually accept students once a year, but they actually do a trimester. So they do 3, maybe 12-week classes, and they go through the summer. And so the trimesters get them through faster and out into the industry and at the hospitals and outpatient clinics faster. So we wanted to start with them. I wanted to talk a little bit about the nursing program, and Dr. Elliott had suggested that we start looking at eight-week classes, and so the nursing program did. And one of the things we saw was there was a large failure rate in classes that were in our first year. And so what we determined was that some of our clinical classes were 8 credits long, so they had to do almost 480 lab hours and 720 clinical hours and that type of thing. And when they failed an 8-credit course, their GPA dropped significantly. And if it dropped below a 2.75, which was what our initial admission GPA was, then we had to have them take another class to get it up so that they could come back to be successful. They also had to actually give us some information as to why they thought they were not successful. A lot of what has occurred is from them, their mouth, so to say, is they either have a issue that's happening in the community with themselves, personal issue, and they can't tolerate all of the things that they have to do, or they're working. And so what they've learned too is that they can't work full-time, actually going through the nursing program. It's very difficult. And we do understand that some people have to. So we determined that we should revise the first 2 semesters. Each clinical course now in the first year is 4 credits. If they fail that 4-credit course, then it's not as much of a dip in the GPA. And the non-clinical classes, instead of providing all the content for math and pharmacy, what we do is we split them up between first and second year now. And some of those courses are very, very difficult. We're in the midst of the curriculum change, so we don't have any outcomes yet. But this might be something we want to look at. We're going to compare the first-time licensure pass rates once the change is in full force. And we're going to look at what we did pre and what we did post. and see if that first year has made a difference or not. And we can bring that information back to this group. We're going to compare retention rates also from first year to second year. One of the things we expect to see is with the implementation of our LPN to RN bridge, which starts this summer, we expect that anybody who's failed the first year, we will take that many LPN to RN students, and that will fill our class so that we will always hopefully be starting with 30 and graduating with 30 students. So that should help us quite a bit. The 8-week summer LPN to RN course is the bridge in the summer has promoted a lot of interest from the community. Banner Casa Grande is one of the hospitals that we partner significantly with, and we're working to see if their LPNs can possibly come in sooner than later. And because of the interest, we're going to also do one of these in the fall. That'll end up putting more people to graduate in the spring semester of next year. So this is just an example. We started out with 30 students. Say after the first semester, 3 leave, we have 27. After the second semester, 4 leave, we have 23. The summer bridge program will add that 7 back into it. Semester 3 and 4 are 16 weeks in length, not 8. We determined that those 16 weeks were needed for them to do their clinical hours to be the best when they get out, to be able to pass the NCLEX and to be a nurse at the bedside. And probably 40% of the nurses at Banner Casa Grande have come from this college. So we are very happy that we are a living and breathing part of Banner Casa Grande. Okay, I think that's all I have. Are there any questions for me?
No, great. Good news. That's great.
And I'm just going to come back just to wrap it up and say, first of all, thanks to both Lexi and Tina. But to just sort of wrap up what we've been doing and what we've been learning. And as we started, we found we had a few models for the 8-week classes. And what we have learned is that we've been able to really successfully change some of our scheduling for both the skilled trades and for the health career programs. And this newest change in nursing, moving to 8-week programming in the nursing program itself, is a really, really big change. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. I think it's probably going to work quite well. My expectation is that it's going to be smaller chunks for people to bite off in more concentrated pieces, and that in the end, it actually is going to serve our students and the college and the community very well. Circling back to the gen eds, what we've learned is that by sequencing certain kinds of courses, that also serves our students in the best possible way. They're not only choosing those courses, they're successful in them, and they have a real motivation for taking those courses that are paired up. So our current goal is to create without a huge amount of choice, to select those courses that are the core courses in 1 or 2 pathways, and to be able to stack an entire associate's degree in the gen ed side as well in that 8-week format, and to be able to sort of pair those and market them in the way that we do the English 101 or 100, the smaller sequence courses, or that we're doing already in the skilled trades and allied health, and that we think we can match that as well, and think it will be also equally successful. So we've just got to get those things put together. We have many of them in 8-week format. We have to put them together and market them and present them and help our students understand that that's an option. And we are going to be looking at measuring some of these, and hopefully we'll be able to report back about that in a future meeting. So any other questions or comments or for any of us? No? All right.
Great presentation. Appreciate you attending today and presenting. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a story we want to hear and to tell.
Thanks very much.
You bet. All right, Mr. Watka, Community Projects Report.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to introduce Chief Roberts. He is our police chief, has been here about 5 years now, I believe, a little over 5 years. And I would just like to highlight our police department. Our police department has done a lot of community projects, working with members of the community, organizations in the community, working with our staff, working a lot with some of our athletic programs. So I asked him to do a little slideshow and kind of toot his own horn here during his presentation.
Great.
Good afternoon, Governing Board President Kasuga, board members, and Dr. Elliott, and everyone in the room. Am I speaking loud enough? I get accused of speaking too loud sometimes.
You're good.
Quicker. Dr. Elliott, thank you for allowing me the last 2 hours for my presentation. So anybody that knows when I present long, but I promise this is going to be short. I cut half of the photos out.
You did.
I'm not going to discuss every photo, but I just want to talk about the philosophy of what I wanted to accomplish when I came here. I'm not perfect. I've made a lot of mistakes, but one of the things that I noticed when I started the job here is the police department was not engaged with the students, the staff, the faculty, or the community. They were just sort of out on an island. And I wanted to teach them the importance of community policing and crime prevention, technology, safety. To me, where I came from, it's hard, but that's the easy stuff. And I made a promise to Dr. Elliott when I started here, I would decrease the crime rate, and we decreased it a lot. I'm proud of that, but what I'm more proud of is finally, after approaching 5 years, all full-time officers are finally engaged and understand the importance of community policing and creating their own projects. Every full-time officer on this police department has to always be actively working a community project. If it's in the community, if it's on campus, if it's student engagement, whatever it is, they have to be doing something. Some of them have been really good, some have been bad, they're learning. But what I like is their excitement now when they come with ideas. COVID put us back, so I told everybody, we're gonna have to think outside the box, and I'll talk about some of the ideas we did then. And I'm not gonna explain all the slides, you can all read. But some of them I am gonna explain. One of the things that I thought was important, any event that CAC does where they host external guests or internal guests, our police officers should be there engaging, not just in a security mold or role, but they should be actively promoting the college, and they do that. Veterans event at Santan campus, we go to that every year. One of the things that we've taken very seriously, we've worked really close with Vice President Cardenas and Student Services for the importance of Clery Act and educating our staff what Clery is. And I think we've came a long way as a team and as our committee. And the police department have been very active in it. And Officer Erickson has taken the lead teaching residential life staff and police officers the importance of the Clery Act. She stays very current in the changes. Active shooter training. I get this one a lot. When I first started here, we put on over 20 active shooter training scenarios or classes. I haven't been asked to do one in a while, but it's something that I've taught for many years. The classes are more exciting and fun for us as instructors when we have more people, more staff and students that attend the class. We like participation. It's something that we'll do anytime we're asked. I keep forgetting I have this little screen here. Speaking of active shooter, one of the things we did before some of the quads were torn down, we wanted to do live active shooter training with our officers. Some of our newer officers had never been through this type of training. We reached out to all the athletic programs and the athletic director at the time needing role players, and our softball team volunteered to be our role players. And they had a lot of fun in it, acting like victims. And our officers, they had no idea what the scenarios were, but it was really neat to engage the students so they could see what it was like on the police officer side of things in an active shooter situation. Of course, all the blood donations we really promote. Anytime we do any type of donor activities at the college, all officers, I allow them on duty to donate. This is another opportunity that we offered all of our athletic programs. Trying to recruit police officers in the future, specifically female police officers. One of the biggest challenges I've had in the end of my career is recruiting female officers. Not minorities, believe it or not, it comes natural here in Arizona, but females, for some reason, it's very hard. So every year we do a program with our women's softball team where we spend an entire day with them. The coach doesn't tell them when they're going to do it. They think they're going to be out there doing conditioning, running. We have 3 groups. We take them out on the driving track, let them drive police cars really fast, teach them how to drive. We also take them out to the firearms range. We let them shoot weapons, and we also teach them basic defensive tactics. It's us giving back, but it's also us being selfish, trying to recruit females into law enforcement and to the criminal justice program here at the college. Like I said, participating in external events. Here's a veteran. We want to represent CAC and the Casa Grande Veterans Day Parade. Superstition Mountain. Some of these are old, before COVID. This one has grown out of control in a good way. So we wanted to add a float for the college in the Electric Light Parade, and when we did the first one, it was pretty boring. We couldn't get anyone to help us. Now every year we're getting more and more volunteers, and you're going to see some photographs how it's changed, but I love the fact now that the PD is taking the lead with students and staff to always represent CAC in the parade. Shop with a Cop, anybody familiar with law enforcement? All of the officers do this on their own time. Every year, almost every member of our department goes to a store somewhere in Pinal County when they have Shop with a Cop and takes a young person shopping. A lot of our officers are starting to enroll in classes now, some of the various classes, which is a good idea. Officer Erickson here took a cooking class. Another Shop with a Cop event. We had a very large turnout at this event. Toys for Tots. These were just toys donated by members of the police department for this year's Toys for Tots event. We also volunteer to be judges for various events, various activities. Pinal County Attorneys, their drug poster competition. We hosted it here at the college 2 years ago, and so every year I pick different members of the department to be judges for the event. Police Memorial, again, Pinal County, no one from CAC ever would go to from CAC PD, let me rephrase that. So the police officers, every year we go to the county and state events. Special Olympics, this was our first year, COVID, police torch run. You do a fundraiser for Special Olympics, and we would actually run about 2 miles, pass the torch to another department. During COVID, they changed the rules a little, and they wanted to allow non-law enforcement to get involved and also to change it to basically just walk in an area so you don't spread COVID. So you can see how small our first group was our first year. Our first year as a department, I think we raised $2,300 for Special Olympics. I probably have them out of order. I'll go back to Special Olympics. Anyways, now we've raised over $12,000 for Special Olympics. This was a good program in Pinal County for some of the lower income children that couldn't afford backpacks, law enforcement fundraiser. Our department, I think we were able to get around 35 backpacks donated. One of our students in the workforce program could not afford tools for the program, so the police department took up a collection and bought him tools so he could enroll in the program. Here is our light parade from 2021. It is growing. So now we have people on from CAC wanting to be on the float. We have Vaquero Pete. We're going to try to get Dr. Elliott next year. They wanted me to wear a Santa outfit this year, and that wasn't going to happen. I think Chris Walker would look better in it. Another fundraiser during the holidays. Pinal County's Public Safety Day, we're really trying to get out in the community. And we go out there, we're just not promoting the police department. What we're finding, if the college is putting together a booth to recruit students and promote CAC, we're doing it together instead of separate. And it's really become a good partnership with us in academics and in student enrollment, trying to increase our student numbers. Now, this one's a little funny. Haircuts for graduation. We had some students that were talking to Officer Hernandez, and they were telling him how they can't afford to get a haircut for graduation last year. Well, his best friend is a barber, so he coordinated 3 barbers to come to Residential Life, and they ended up doing free haircuts. There was a lot of haircuts for students. But Torch Run, we're in partnership with, if anyone's familiar with Creative Cafe and Creative Labor Services in Casa Grande. So we've partnered with them to get some of their employees to participate in the Torch Run. They've been a really, really good partner. And again, next year will be year 4 and it's growing. This last year, we had every athletic team participate on campus, and I want to say we had over 50 CAC employees beside police department participate in the Torch Run and donate for the cause, and we did it all here on campus. It was brought to our attention that we had a lot of student athletes that couldn't afford hygiene products, especially a lot of our overseas students from overseas. So the police department now, we've made a commitment. We're going to do a fundraiser and a donation every year for a hygiene closet. You have the food pantry, but we're doing a hygiene pantry. And I don't know if we should just keep that focused on student athletes. We're debating that if we want to open that up broader to the entire college. Yeah, Jenny's looking at me. But it was our first year, and I think the officer who had that idea, they did a really good job. One of the things we really do is we go out to the local schools like other police officers, reading to young children. And it's funny, the officers all volunteer to do that. I don't know why they like to do that, but that's something they really like doing. Right here at our early learning center, they had a public safety day, and we went out there and we teach the kids how to exit the building in case of an emergency. We do basic stuff every year with them. I'm gonna keep skipping. Another from the electric parade, and it was raining. I was glad I didn't go this year. I was out of town. This is a program that I'm very proud of. Dr. Elliott, Vice President Waka approved me to move forward with this a couple years ago. And I'm copying retired Chief Steestone from the University of Arizona, a good friend of mine. 4-year university, they have students that can be community service officers. And to provide employment opportunities for the students, but also to promote law enforcement. And this program is expanding. We now have a community service officer student at Santan, SMC, and Maricopa, and we have several here on this campus. And some of these students are rather shy, and getting them out there, unlocking doors for people, giving people rides in golf carts, they come out of their shell. And the police officers have really taken a liking to these. Jenny yells at me for calling them kids, students, but they're kids to me. If you see the tall student in the middle, that's Isaac Salter, very shy young man. He has come out of his shell, loves being a community service officer. He's now our Vaquero Pete. And a lot of you know him. He gets in that costume and he becomes a whole different person. He just loves being in Vaquero Pete. And then on the lower left, many have heard this story. One of our student workers on the left, I am trying to help him get endorsed by one of the police departments in the community, become a police officer, either Florence or Coolidge Coolidge Police Department, one of the smaller departments. He just became a U.S. citizen 5 weeks ago, Chris? 5 weeks ago, we helped him prepare for his citizenship, and he was so nervous when he took that test, and he ended up, I think, got a 96% was the score he told us. And he's really proud being a CAC student, and he's set to graduate this year, and hopefully get him into a police academy with one of the area police departments. Okay, I'm gonna need your help. Don't play it yet. So during COVID, we were trying to come up with ideas for some sort of community impact. And working with Angela Askey's staff, we really thought it would be a good idea to do training, public relation videos, safety videos. So we worked with her staff, and I want to provide a couple examples. I didn't pick the topics for the officers. I told every officer they have to do one, and they have to pick their own topics. Some are better than others. I'm going to play you two, and but they need to do something that's special to them. So if we could play the first one.
The safety of our communities is important. You may have seen these blue towers across the CAC campuses. But how exactly do they work? What do they do? The emergency blue phones on Signal Peak campus contact the CAC PD directly, while the phones at other campuses contact the local dispatcher for their respective areas. These towers can be used in a variety of emergency situations, including reporting criminal activity, severe medical issues, a suspicious person or object, an active shooter or a person with a gun, a burglary, if you're being followed, or anytime you feel in danger and require an immediate police presence. These towers are not to be used for requesting a door or building to be opened, requesting keys, requesting an escort or ride to your car, or anything you don't feel to be a danger or emergency. Operating these emergency phones is simple. Press the red button and wait to speak with the dispatcher. There will be a slight delay between the dispatched radio and the caller. However, as soon as these buttons are pressed, an officer will be en route to the location of that specific tower. In the event of an emergency, tell the dispatcher where you are. If there is a suspect, give the description. What they are wearing, eye color, hair color, weight, height, race, and gender. Be descriptive and wait by the call box. Thank you for doing your part to make our community safer.
So two things about that. I didn't want to mention her without her permission, but Julie is the brains behind this operation. She works with our officers to put these together, and I'm sure they're driving her nuts because when's it my turn, because they're ready to do their videos. So I made a poor joke on that one when I first saw it. I told the officer, I was like, man, you look like TJ Hooker there. I was waiting for you to throw a baton, and my officer just looked at me, who's TJ Hooker? So my age. So can we play the next video? Next video is Officer Erickson. She worked with a lot of CAC staff to put this one together with Julie.
The Safe Zone project was developed as a free online resource for powerful, effective LGBTQ awareness and ally training workshops. It has been implemented by over 25,000 educators in over 100 different countries. At Central Arizona College, the Safe Zone workshops are opportunities to learn about LGBTQ plus identities, gender, and sexuality, and examine prejudice, assumptions, and privilege. When you complete the Safe Zone workshop, you will receive a resource packet and display magnet to use in your office or workspace. Any CAC student or employee displaying the sticker has gone through the Safe Zone workshop and wants to communicate to others that they are open to talking about and being supportive of LGBTQ individuals and identities.
I choose to promote a safe space for all students and be a positive impact on their academic and social experiences.
I wasn't aware that there were so many different terms to describe some that I've never even heard before.
I learned about the discrimination they face.
I've actually had the Safe Zone training quite a while ago, 20 years ago, and then I've refreshed it here at Central Arizona College. And one of the things that it reminds me of is like the sign behind me is in my office, and that we're all in this together. And what I want people to know that come here that might identify anyway differently is that we are in all this together. And sometimes it's hard to find other people to connect with. So I think the Safe Zones training allows me to keep my mind open to others, but it also hopefully allows others to know to come to me if they need anything, because I don't want anybody who's coming to Central Arizona College to feel alone or isolated like people might have done in the past.
It was nice to see, I hate to even use the word training, but an informative session where people that maybe don't have that dialogue on a regular basis and don't have the immersion in their family and with their family and friends, where they can learn and they can be part of a community that is accepting and loving.
I do recommend the Safe Zone training. It taught me in so many ways to be more compassionate and understanding.
I recommend this training.
I highly recommend the Safe Zone training.
I hope that students can come to something like this to feel comfortable and not necessarily feel alienated about something about themselves.
So thank you to Angela and Julie for all your help with these, and we're going to hopefully keep them coming, different types of videos. Some of the projects that we have coming up in the near future, one of the programs that 3 of the officers are working on, it's called the START program, the Safe Teen Accident Reduction Training Program. So most law enforcement agencies will do these type of programs in their community. So what we want to do is a dry run this summer. We want to do a dry run this summer with CAC employees' children to go through the 5-hour program. They get a discount on their insurance. Parents will like that. We take them out. We teach basic backing. And so we're partnering, we're trying to coordinate, getting a partnership with the Governor's Office of Highway Patrol or Safety. And I'm currently a board member on the Pinal County Law Enforcement Association. So we're also going to go for with a partnership with local law enforcement to get this program off the ground. And depending on how successful it is, it's something we might want to try to offer every year for employees as a perk for their between 16 and 19-year-olds to go through this driving program for a discount on vehicle insurance. A couple more programs that we do. We have 2 officers that are certified CPR instructors. They work with Tina Berry's shop now, teaching her students. We thought it was foolish that we kept paying a local fire department for us to do our CPR certification for police officers every 2 years. So we ate the bullet and we sent 2 officers to get certified, and it's been a win-win. Not only are they teaching us, they're teaching various units at the college CPR, and now Tina has made them adjunct professors where they can teach the students in her programs for their certification. Another program that we do free to our students and employees that a lot of people don't know about, we do free fingerprinting, where other people charge $5 to $15 for print cards. We do it free for our staff and students. Mr. Walker, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question about your LGBTQ program. Why is that a law enforcement issue? Why is it even an issue when you're not doing the same thing for Christians who want to express themselves openly and are ridiculed for that? Why are you putting that position at the forefront of education? It should not be there at all.
Because
It's not needed.
Law enforcement, our role is to support everyone in the community, not just a specific group. So if I have a Christian officer that wants to do a video, they can.
So you have come up with a way to divide us rather than unite us. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Because that's what it does. It divides those of us who are mainstream, good, honest, forward-thinking Americans from those who are deviant in their personality and apart from us in their approach to civilization.
We all have our own opinions.
It's not an opinion, sir, it's a fact.
Yeah, Mr. Walker, thank you for your comment.
Any other questions?
Just, Madam Chair, if I can, I think you're doing a great job with all the different programs. I love the fact that you're going out and recruiting the female officers. I know PDs have a difficult time recruiting officers, good officers, and you're doing an excellent job in that. all the things you're doing. It's amazing. I never heard of all the things you do. But I'll talk to Chief Grizzle. You have some potential students that want to be on PD, so that's awesome. And yeah, and I saw you actually participate in a lot of events. So I know we have game night and all those. I think Cascaran does too. The Getting Arizona Involved Neighborhoods. So that's a really great event.
We participate in GAIN.
Yeah.
I could be up here for 4 hours if I
Yeah.
pull out of that.
Sounds like, yeah. So you're to be, recognized for all the hard work in your officers too. So thank you.
Thank you. They're trying.
Madam Chair, if I might add.
go ahead.
I mean, if we would have let him do everything that they've been doing, we'd been here 3 hours because they're extremely engaged. And one thing that Chief Roberts didn't mention is the PD department was incredibly essential during COVID. They were here on campus and they volunteered for things outside their scope, handing out laptops to students who needed them. I can't even go through the list of things that they did outside the scope of a police department during COVID. And I have to say, honestly, that they were instrumental in us being able to get learners the resources they needed, get faculty and staff the resources they needed, and without the level of interest in engaging across the campus, I don't know if we would have been able to be as successful as we were through those very difficult times.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Elliott. And Chief, thank you so much for the little bit that you shared with us today. That's outstanding that you're reaching out into the community and representing Central Arizona College throughout Pinal County. So very much appreciated. Yes, Dr. Odiorn.
Chief, I've spent a career in higher education on a number of different campuses and been engaged in a number of ways with a number of institutions, and I don't know that I've ever seen the level of engagement by a police department that we have here. Thank you.
Yeah, all right. Mr. Waka, anything else on that?
My report, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That actually concludes our agenda. However, I just want to say thank you to all the new staff members that we have on board with us and the fabulous reports that you all have presented today. So with that, meeting adjourned, and we'll see you April 18th, this campus. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending.